Fashionably on time. Hello, everybody. I'm not late. I'm not late at all. Look at this. Right at time. I mean, like, if you were going to a party and the party started at 8 p.m. and you showed up at 8:02, no one would notice. True. It was. Facts. Yeah, exactly. Fashionably on time. See, if it were yesterday, I didn't finish updating the map until like 11 p.m. And today I finished uploading at 8:01. So, anyways, um, there was naval news like a week ago, but we didn't talk about it because you weren't here. The naval news was Ukraine finding a bunch of mines on the beaches. Yeah, yeah. In Odessa. It was Odessa, wasn't it? It was Odessa. Oh. Oh, I just real. Wait. I was talking to myself the entire time. These people think I'm crazy. They think I'm crazy. I'm not. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. Okay, we're back.
Hey, everybody.
See,
Thanks for joining us tonight.
see, I'm not the one that's late. X that's late.
What? This is not fair or accurate. Total crap.
She was late. See, she just showed up.
Amazing. Totally amazing. It was the Mykolaiv crew that destroyed the mines. I did not think it was specifically in the proper city of Odessa, but maybe my information was incorrect. That's possible. It happens for sure.
I just remember. I don't remember what. Do you remember what day that was? I guess I could just go backwards until I find it. Oh, it was. It was January 5th. It was. Oh, they did say it was in Mykolaiv. Never mind.
See?
Okay.
See?
But it was weird because it. Okay. All right. It was by this. Okay. Never mind. But these people, they like almost always. Okay, fine. Jeez. Anyways.
It's fun. It's all good. Either way, yeah, there was mines. It's interesting because if you watch my threads every day, in the morning, at night too, on both of my threads, I post surface currents that David tracked for us. And
Fancy.
seriously, they're so wild. You have to pay attention to them for just like a week because they change direction literally every day. It is absolutely bananas. And especially so there's a storm today in Odessa. And all along, basically the whole Black Sea has a big storm today. There's going to be more mines that probably break free in this particular storm. And we will see them floating to different places. So if you watch the surface currents for the next couple of days or weeks, usually it takes a couple of weeks for them to really pop up, but they will definitely pop up in the next couple of weeks. And we will see mines floating around in places that are somewhat predictable. There was also, since we last chatted, there was a ship that hit a mine down near the Danube River near Vilkove. I think it was on its way. It wasn't into Vilkove. It was going into Selena. But it hit a mine down there. We're not sure how that mine got there, because if you watch the surface currents, it shouldn't necessarily have gotten there. So that one's really interesting. We don't have more information on it right now, but there's lots of interesting mine things that are happening for sure.
Magical little mine. Just had a mind of its own.
That's one explanation. There's lots of others.
Birds.
We'll find out. Birds dropped them.
Yeah. You know how birds are. They're jerks. They just grabbed it and just towed it. A little flock of birds.
It was the dolphins. The dolphins broke free in the last storm, and then they grabbed a mine and they just towed it into the river access.
It's revenge.
Right?
You enslaved us for years. Take this mine.
It's possible. Unlikely, but possible.
You're smart though. So one thing I'd like to talk about is that I've changed the icons on the map. Well, they're basically the same icons, but there's now these bright yellow ones, and the bright yellow ones are geolocated, and the ones that aren't bright yellow are not geolocated. So, I always wanted to have a gold outline for the geolocated, and now there are, which is cool. We're not going to talk about today. Everything today is geolocated, and we're not going to talk about why, because it had nothing to do with me running out of time. Okay. Anyways, so what is there to talk about? I made the title today, Everything's Going According to Plan. And that is in reference to a number of, I don't know if you want to call them counterattacks. I'm not sure they are counterattacks, but a number of areas where Russia has lost control slash ground. Okay, so namely around Avdiivka. So we had this okay, so going back in time, Russia did this kind of four-pronged attack into this town. The first prong was down this road into this kind of industrial area. And this was a very significant Ukrainian stronghold. So this was like one of their little fortresses. Another one went up kind of this field into this kind of farm or whatever. And this is, again, like another little stronghold for Ukraine. Another prong went up this field into this cemetery. And the other attack came from kind of this road where they tried to enter the town here, and to a lesser extent they tried coming this way, but this way was actually first and got beat really badly, so then they tried this way. So they kind of tried to do this full court press on the southern side of the town, and they reached well, first they reached this cemetery, and they captured, from what I could tell, they captured up until about here on the cemetery. And then they started calling in giant artillery strikes and airstrikes over here, which didn't seem to be boding well for them. They also apparently, at least temporarily, captured this part of this kind of industrial area, and they seem to have moved on up and maybe have even reached these kind of this area. It's kind of like the northern part of the industrial area, because these are still industrial buildings. And then Ukraine kind of did a counterattack with a bunch of tanks and stuff, and I think they cleared this all out. And there's so many destroyed and abandoned Russian vehicles right here. Also, on a similar note, there's a ton of destroyed and abandoned Russian vehicles here, and also here. and along this entire road is just like bumper to bumper Russian vehicles, and then there's this path through the field, which is also just piles of abandoned vehicles, and similarly over here, and also right here is a bunch of abandoned vehicles. So all of this went really badly for Russia, but at least temporarily, they established some degree of control in these three areas: the cemetery, this industrial area, and this farm. They really never had any amount of success at all over here. And this kind of northern attack, which happened first, was even worse. So that was a thing that happened. And we didn't really get much news from here for a while. Oh, yep. What do you want to say?
No, I don't know why it's lighting me up. I don't know why. I was being quiet, I swear.
Okay. So we didn't really get much news from here for a while, other than just more and more videos of destroyed vehicles and all of these like three major paths, and then occasionally like these really weak kind of suicidal attacks on the east. And now we have news that all of these footholds that Russia had gotten in these three areas have been basically lost, and they're kind of back to square one. Which is, to be honest, it was obvious that this was true because they were never expanding into the town. Like they were never, pushing into these houses or anything. On the contrary, they were releasing video after video of heavy shelling and airstrikes and more airstrikes and these MTLBs full of explosives and driving them towards the town. More and more airstrikes. We had like just weeks and weeks, if it goes back far enough, of these MRL shelling, where they just did these enormous barrages, enormous rocket barrages. I don't know why it's not loading. But anyways, so it was pretty obvious that Russia didn't really succeed in what they were going for. Um, but now we more or less have confirmation. So this is one of the areas I was talking about when I said everything's going great. And this video here more or less shows the current state of everything. Now let me click the right buttons to let you view this video. I think it's working. Okay, so this is showing the town. This is their church. These are all of the used to be houses. You can see some artillery shelling landing every once in a while. Now, in a moment, I'll describe what the Russians are saying about all of this. Okay, so that ended. We'll go back to the map. And so what the Russians are saying, and I think this is kind of laughable, but this is what they're saying. They're saying that they're still fighting for the cemetery, that this area is a no man's land, and that this is a no man's land, but critically, all of the Russian bombing, and I just want to say it, this has got to be like one of the most heavily bombed areas in Ukraine. Russia went on a roughly 3-month air campaign, just bombing this town, just all day, every day for like 3 months straight. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So they said that the bombing campaign failed to destroy the Ukrainian intelligence and reconnaissance and surveillance network that is in the center of town, and that because of the Russian Air Force's failure, the infantry is not capable of getting a foothold anywhere. So I'll just play this video again so you can keep in mind that this is they're blaming the Air Force for this one. Let's just see. Let's just see. Yeah, so you can see like bombs You can see giant craters everywhere. From this angle, it's kind of hard to see, but from this angle, it's a little bit easier. See, like all these like giant holes are like mostly bombs. Oh, uh, they're blaming the Air Force for this one. See, that's a bomb grader. Maybe they meant to hit the church and they hit right there instead. I don't know. That's another bomb creator here. Um, so yeah. Anyways, so this is one of the things I meant when I said everything's going according to plan. I'll go back to the map. Okay, so there's another area. Now this is a little bit weirder. I don't really know how to interpret this. So, but over the past few days, there have been a lot of airstrikes and drone attacks published. Now, I'm not saying this they happened, but they're published in these areas of Avdiivka, which is the next town after Marinka. Now, um, these videos in themselves, I don't put any stock in. I assume that they're all old, and there's more video today. So these drone attacks all on this one little building. They just really don't like this building very much. I don't know why it's not loading. Anyways, oh, this kind of loading. It's just like slowly. Okay, so I don't really put much stock in these videos. I assume they're old. They're not that old. They're probably like 3 weeks old or something. But if you go by what Ukrainian sources are saying, which I also don't put much stock in, to be honest, they claim that they did a small counterattack here and took back some ground. So that could be another case of everything's going according to plan. It's really hard to analyze, and I've been getting questioned about this all day today and yesterday. I assume that these videos are old. There's also more attacks up here as well. All of these are the same videos, basically. Those are different, but these are all pretty much the same videos. So I assume they're old, but I don't know. They're definitely not new. I can tell you they're not like from today because there's no snow. But I don't know how old they are.
Somebody was asking in the comments what the weather is today, Andrew.
Oh. I think blizzard is the word.
I think you're looking for cold blizzard, not even one of those nice warm ones. Definitely one of cold ones.
I have a picture. I mean, there's a channel I follow that showed some photographs every day. And okay, so I'll just show you some photographs from today, or some videos and photos. So these are from today. See, there's this little guy being cute about the weather. There's this. Okay, so this is some weather. These images are all from Zaporizhia, by the way. Very cold. It's cold looking. So this is kind of what the weather's like, if you're wondering. We have some more pictures from today. These are like repairing damage from the various missile strikes, etc. But it shows you today's weather, and here are some more pictures from today from Zaporizhia. These are all obviously they're all from Zaporizhia. So this is the weather. If you're wondering what the weather is, this is it. It's cold and snowy and blizzardy. Yeah, there's been a lot of looking through the news today. There's been a lot of car accidents. Um, a few people passed away to hypothermia. One lady fell in a lake, which was unlucky. there were a whole bunch of car accidents, cars flipping over, houses burning down from burning firewood. So firewood burning related incidents. There was a woman today who she went to the peak of the highest mountain in Ukraine wearing nothing but a red dress and carrying around a Ukrainian flag. So there's that. And by nothing but the dress, I mean literally nothing but the dress. She didn't even have shoes on. So chilly.
That feels that feels like something that I don't think I would ever do.
No.
My feet hurt just considering that.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. And she was on top of a mountain.
No, thank you. Good for her, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say. The news over the past few days. I mean, obviously there were the attacks in Pokrovsk. Where am I? I go back in time. Uh, Here there were these missile strikes in Rivne and Pokrovsk, but mostly Rivne. So I assume that their target was like this oil gas thing. I don't actually know what this is. I assume it contains either oil or gas. That's an assumption though. But anyways, I assume this was the target, but they did not hit that. Instead, they hit right here. So they have some images. So here's one. It's a little doggy. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. Anyways, so that's one image. Here's another image. Oh boy, I'm worried what these images are. Okay, so yeah, there's this. So they hit this area with I believe S300s, and I think maybe I should. I think it was S300s though, and they kind of leveled a few towns, a few houses. So they kind of leveled like these houses and damaged some of these houses. So they hit just houses with these missiles, and the icon today is one of one of these images. I can't remember which one. It was this one. So it was this image was the thumbnail for today's video.
Could you
Yeah.
please zoom in on what they were trying to hit?
It's this thing. I don't know. Is this a farm thing or an oil thing? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's a grain facility.
Okay. Well, then that doesn't make sense then.
They have legs across the top, which usually means that it's grain loading.
Okay. Well, I just assumed that was an oil thing. Yeah. I don't know if this. I don't think you would shoot S300s at grain. That doesn't seem.
I disagree. They did that yesterday.
Okay. But anyway, I don't really know what else the target would be. Maybe this. I don't even know what this is. But they hit these houses. I can tell you for a fact they hit these houses.
I should correct myself. I don't think it was S300s they did yesterday. I think it was KH-22s. But either way, there was missiles. They hit grain stuff. It looked intentional. It would not be the first time.
Well, if it's an X-22, they don't even aim those. They just fire them. You can't aim them because they just kind of like go where they go. You know what I mean? Like you, they have.
I take your word for it.
They have inertial guidance. Like the inertial guidance will get them in the general location, and then they turn on their radar, and they just lock onto whatever they lock onto and fly at it.
I'm just looking up the post so I can accurately say what it was, because I've forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know what the target was.
Bombs is what they said. They said guided bombs.
Okay.
So, but they didn't
That's,
define exactly what they were.
I mean, if they're bombs, then that would probably be a lot more intentional. The X-22 and X-32. I think I can't remember their SEP, but it's really big, like a kilometer or something. It's like you have no clue where those are going. Because they're anti-ship missiles. They're designed to lock onto a ship and fly into the middle of the ship. And when you're just shooting it at land, like what is it going to lock onto? It's like who knows? Because
That sounds very effective.
I believe it locks onto the largest radar signature. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And if you're shooting it at a city, like who knows what the biggest radar signature is? Like the Earth is like the biggest radar signature. Like who knows? Anyways, so that was one thing that happened. So Pokrovsk got hit, and then there were the really big missile strikes the following day, where they hit all over the place. They hit a mall in Kryvyi Rih. They hit something over here. I don't even know what they hit over there. Over here, which is north of Dnipro, in Novomoskovsk. I don't know how to say that. Sorry. They hit a. I believe I mapped this wrong, but I corrected the mapping today, but I didn't publish it yet. I don't think. Where did they hit? Let me show you. That's not it. What day am I supposed to be looking at? Is it the 8th? Yeah, it was yesterday, right? Okay. So they hit a fertilizer plant. That's kind of my point. I believe it's a fertilizer plant. Right here. Is what they hit. I believe it makes fertilizer. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what they make there. Anyways. But beyond that, it's just all these missile strikes. These missile strikes are incredibly depressing. There's been a lot of civilian casualties in the process. Like over, I don't know the exact number. Before the attack on Pokrovsk, I believe the number was 300 for the year. So it's like 300 in a week, and then there was Pokrovsk, which was like another like 30 or something, and then like a bunch of little kids too, like a 3-year-old and some other children, and then there was all the strikes on Kharkiv and Dnipro and all these other places. Like I don't know what the number is right now, but I assume it's getting closer to 400 for the year, and we're on day 9, so it's not a good start. Not a good start to the year. Yeah. So, if we want to talk about the frontline news, the frontline news is more or less everywhere is more or less status quo. Okay, so the frontline news is we have some Russian shelling right here, which may adjust the Ukrainian control of this little tiny area near Terny. But I'm not sure if that's even Ukrainian controlled. I think it might be more of a gray area. If we get down towards the north side of Bakhmut, I don't know of any significant changes over the past few days. In Klashivka and Avdiivka, there have been some assaults here, but no known changes. Getting on down to north of Avdiivka, there was this shelling today that this was Russian shelling that showed that Ukraine controlled maybe a little bit more than we gave them credit for. But other than that, I don't know too much. This video I'll show in a moment because it's kind of funny. And the whole area south of Avdiivka, other than this Russian advance in Pervomaisk, there's no real known changes. And we already talked about the Avdiivka and Marinka area, and we already talked about Novomikhailivka. And everywhere else, there's like basically no news. There was these Russian drone attacks near Pryutny, but that doesn't show any changes. It just kind of shows more status quo, and that's more or less it. That's all we got. The most interesting thing to me is that the Russians are claiming that Ukraine has captured this whole area of Krinky. I don't actually know if that's true, but I will tell you that yesterday we had some interesting footage of um, we believe these were Krasnopol shellings. So it was laser guided artillery, and um, one hit this building right here. So that was interesting because if you remember back, I used to have this as a gray area, and maybe it still is a gray area. I don't know. I changed it back to Russian controlled when Ukraine started hitting it with drones pretty consistently. But Ukraine hasn't hit it with drones in a while, and now apparently Russia is shelling it. Although honestly, I don't know when this video was filmed, and they also hit this house over here. So there's that, and I'm sure most people who follow the war have seen that Russia did a pretty large attack here with their mechanized infantry and tanks, etc. One tank catastrophically exploded in this kind of picturesque way. And then they also lost a BMP-3 over here, and maybe a few more vehicles in the town along with that tank. But from what I understand, this attack actually occurred several days ago, like 5 days ago now. And since then, from what I've heard, Russia has not done any large attacks. They kind of got their butt whipped, and they're like, okay, fine, we will attack then. And also, I did, what was it, yesterday? I did a video on just Krinky, and you can go watch that if you'd like. So, I don't really know what else to say. If people have questions, I can answer questions, but the news, it just, when I look at this situation, it looks pretty bad for Russia and also bad for Ukraine. It just looks like both sides are not doing good. And I wish Ukraine had more ammo because I think it would make a big difference right now. But unfortunately, the US Congress is not doing their job, and the rest of Europe can't help them right now. Like, Europe will help in the future. Like, I have no doubt about Europe helping in the future. It's just they can't help right now. It's just, I mean, they're doing what they can, but they have to set up all the production facilities, and in like 6 months, it might be a different story, but not right now. I do not think Ukraine is going to build a tunnel under the Dnipro River. That would be a really insane engineering challenge that I don't think you can do without a lot of resources. I don't think you can do that. It would be a ridiculously difficult challenge. It would be pretty cool if they could. That would be like, man, that'd be an engineering challenge. Also, well, I guess that wouldn't be a threat because I was just thinking, what happens if you lose control of the tunnel, but you could just blow it up? So, I don't know.
I don't even know how you would keep that dry. Like, most of the land around there is like swampy, which means it's very porous, which means it holds a lot of water, which means that if you dig a hole in it, it's just going to fill up.
Well, yeah, you would have to like put like a I don't know, like a sealed material in there. I'm not a tunnel builder. Or you would have to dig really, really deep.
Well, Andrew, in all your spare time, why don't you become a tunnel builder and tell us how that works?
The closest I've ever been to building a tunnel was the Big Dig in Boston, and it was loud
Ooh, I
and
bet.
they looked good when they were done. It's all the most I know about tunnels.
Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you'd have to dig really deep. You have to like go down to like bedrock or whatever, or a suitable rock, and then dig through it. Man, that'd be really hard. Uh I feel like not realistic. And I also think it would cost like probably many, many billions of dollars.
It's also that it's probably something that would be fairly visible and
Yeah.
easy for Russia to figure out was being done. If you are digging something, you have to put the dirt somewhere, and like
Yeah, and you like there'd be like seismographs going off. Be like,
yeah.
wow, there's oddly the ground is shaking in a line underground.
Oh man, there's so many issues with that. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could build a tunnel under the river. I fully agree with everybody. You could, but it would be really difficult and really expensive. Those are the problems. Like I think it would literally be easier just to arm your army with normal guns. Then it would probably cost less
Maybe
money.
all that money you were going to spend on a tunnel, you would go buy some airplanes.
Yeah.
Could be useful.
You dig tunnels. I mean, okay, so Russia built a tunnel in Avdiivka. Okay, Russia built a tunnel in Avdiivka. I can't remember where it ended. I think it ended over here. Something I can't remember. But they like dug a tunnel from I don't know where to I don't know where, but it ended in this area. I think like over here or over here. I can't remember. But anyways, they dug a tunnel over the course of a very long period of time. They dug. They filled it with high explosives, like tons and tons of high explosives, and then they ran away and blew it up, and then ran into the tunnel and climbed out the giant hole, and then captured this whole area. Well, they didn't capture all of it, but they captured like a foothold, and Ukraine couldn't fight them off because they didn't have enough ammo. They didn't have mortar ammo to fight them off. So Russia has like established a foothold in this general area, and yeah, so you can use tunnels for sure, but I'll have you know, um, this area is not underwater, which is a complication of building a tunnel. Yeah, so I don't know. Do you have any questions, Exit? I don't know what else to talk about. The news lately, like we could talk about the missile strikes a little more, I guess. I mean I don't have specifics. I don't have specifics. And if I did, I wouldn't say them anyway. But I will say, or I can say, just from basic knowledge, that the missile strikes have been more effective than people would like to admit. That they've been damaging parts of Ukraine that Ukraine would rather not get damaged. Whether it is companies that build parts for airplanes, companies that build parts for vehicles and other weapons, um, factories that are manufacturing war materials. Those sorts of things have taken substantial damage. Now, we don't know how much damage. Historically, it's really, 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 really difficult to stop a factory with missile strikes. Like it's really hard, like almost impossible. But I mean, it depends on what you damage. You know, like if you damage some critical machinery, you can slow them down for a while. Or if you take out um, skilled workers might be really hard to replace. And we know that workers were killed. Uh, so yeah. Uh, so these missile strikes have been doing a lot more damage than anyone would like. Uh, it's hard to know whether that damage can play a major role in the war itself. But let's put it this way: if Ukraine were doing that level of damage to Russia, people would be celebrating. So it's not good.
So I do have a couple of questions. I don't track things as closely as you do. Have you heard of power outages in the last week or so?
Yes, yeah, there are power outages. I've marked a few on the map. For example, Poltava had power outages yesterday. They didn't say why. Curiously, they say it was an
Well, so
accident. But
for
yeah,
instance,
there have been power outages in Poltava. There have been power outages in various areas of Mykolaiv. There have been power outages in Kherson. There have been power outages in all sorts of places. So yes,
um,
not
so
huge power outages. It's not like really big ones, but enough to annoy people.
fair. I know, like, for instance, there's been power outages in Odessa in the last day or so, but most of those were related to the storm and not specifically related to any actions by anybody else. Uh, so I was just wondering, like, I know last year, obviously, Ukraine had some serious power issues across wide swaths of the country, and it doesn't sound like so far we're seeing that same level of damage. Is that an accurate thought process on my part?
They don't seem to be going for power plants as much. They're doing like a little
Mhm.
bit. They've gone for a few, but not. They're going after factories basically. There are areas where they have very explicitly been going for power infrastructure. For example, Ochakiv. They've been hitting power infrastructure very intentionally. Um, in Kherson, they've been hitting power infrastructure intentionally, and basically along the Dnipro River, they've been hitting power plants. Not power plants, but like major electrical substations along. So like there's like a big substation right here. Not big, but it's like important because it feeds like three towns, and there's another one like over here. I don't know where it is, but it's like in the farm field. But there's another substation like over there. They've been hitting repeatedly and things like that. So it's more this kind of south that they've been very intentionally going after power. I don't really know too much. Oh, and in Kharkiv, they've been hitting power. I don't know if they're intentionally hitting power in Kharkiv though, because like like if you just look at the infrastructure of Kharkiv, it's really difficult to shoot anything without knocking the power out. Because Kharkiv just has so much electrical infrastructure in it because it has so many like giant power plants and just electrical things, like things that require tons of electricity, that they've just so much electrical infrastructure that it's hard to do anything in Kharkiv without knocking some power out. So I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, but they do knock out power in Kharkiv. And I believe they've knocked out some power in Sumy. I remember mapping that. I don't remember where it was, but I remember mapping it.
So my next question was, Shaheds. Do you have any Shaheds on your map right now?
There were no Shaheds last night, which was cool. There were Shaheds tonight, but I haven't. We don't. We don't
What
talk
about
about
the
tonight.
night before or the night before that?
Yes. There were.
Like you haven't done it for a couple of days, so that's why I'm asking.
Well, yeah, there were no Shaheds yesterday. So, the on the 7th there were a few Shaheds in Odessa and in Mykolaiv, and yeah. So I think so. The 7th was not a big Shahed day either. I don't think. I think the most of them went to Odessa. I think 7 were shot down in Odessa, and 1 was shot down like going to Odessa from Mykolaiv. So it was like shot down over here, and these were kind of shot down over here, kind of south of the city. The day before that, there were a whole bunch more. There were a few over in Benitsia, and like some up in Zhytomyr, and some in Odessa, some in Mykolaiv, and some more in Mykolaiv, and some near. Oh, I don't remember what that was. I think it was a missile. But those are drones. But yeah, they're but yeah, these kind of air defense icons represent various forms of air defense. There were some Shahed hits. I don't know where they hit. um, it just says like a recreational area, but I don't. They give you like nothing to work with, so I just gonna like randomly mark it. So yeah, then there are some Shahed hits in Dnipro. So yeah, I have been marking Shaheds to impart or help from the Shahed tracker guy, which is very nice of him.
Extra nice. Whoever that person is, I'm excited that they are doing that job.
I am too. It was pretty cool, and I'm sure he was excited last night when there were no Shaheds. And the day before there were like 8 Shaheds. So
That's totally a thing though, because like last night there was no ships that went to Odessa or came out of Odessa. And that cut my tracking time down by a good significant portion. And it was and David's and other people who work with me. And it was really exciting. Like it's really exciting when there's lots of ships, but it's also sometimes very exciting when there's no ships.
yeah. So King Raccoon asked if I ever looked up Operation Unthinkable, and the answer is no. I don't know what that is. The other question is it's about the Gripen, or Gripen? Is that how you say it? Gripen? Anyway, I don't know. I'm bad at pronouncing things. I'm just going to say Gripen. Anyways, the short of it, the short of the Gripen story is when Sweden joins NATO, Ukraine will get Gripen. That's basically that's the story. Okay. And this is, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a conspiracy or nothing, but I'm just saying that the people who are friends with Putin aren't letting Sweden in the NATO. So I don't know what you want to make of that.
Sounds interesting.
But yeah, the Gripen with a meteor missile, would make the Russian Air Force very sad. The Gripen is really a plane that is ideally suited to crush the Russian Air Force. It basically, like, Sweden sat down and said, we need a plane to defeat Russia. And they were like, Russia can do XYZ, and we need to counter those things. And then the Gripen was born. It's like a plane that was invented to defeat Russia. And if Ukraine had it, it would be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool. It would make the Russian Air Force very, very sad. Because the Meteor missile, along with the Gripen's sensors, etc., can more or less make it so that Russia can't drop bombs on Ukraine anymore. They would still be able to shoot missiles and stuff, but their bombs would be in a lot of danger because the meteor missile is vastly longer range than those bombs. Like I think the meteor has a 200-kilometer range or something like that. It's very long. The bombs are like 60 to 70. It's like it's no match. Like it's way overmatched. Like if you have a like you kind of need like 100-kilometer range to be safe. So like anything over 100 is kind of like overkill. And the Gripen can do that. It would be very bad for Russia. Very, very bad. And the Russian surrogates are not letting Sweden into NATO for. I'm not saying that's the reason, but you know. Why hasn't
Um,
Ukraine taken Transnistria? Because Ukraine would never do that unless they were invited to by Moldova, and Moldova hasn't invited them. Ukraine is not going to invade Moldova. They're not going to do that. I mean, if Moldova reached out to Ukraine and said, "Please help us," I'm sure Ukraine would love to help them. It wouldn't be hard for Ukraine to crush Transnistria if they wanted to. But Moldova has not asked them for that help. And Moldova has things to lose. Like if Moldova does something against Putin, I mean, could Putin just decide to launch a few like I don't know, like Onyx into Moldova or something? Or just like fire some calibers, you know? Just you know the way Putin is.
mhm.
Um Yeah, and there's
This-
another question about the shells in NATO. NATO has a ton of ammo. NATO has a lot of ammo. They really do. The thing is that the ammo, because of the NATO policies and the policies of all of the countries in NATO, most of the ammo is kind of locked away for a rainy day. It's like your rainy day ammo, where they say like we're only going to use this ammo if someone triggers like Article 5 or whatever. So all that ammo is like locked away. It's like considered like untouchable. So, but the ammo exists, and if NATO wanted to, they could tap into it, and I think NATO should.
Has either side been concentrating on logistics stuff lately, like hitting logistics lately? And I haven't really been paying attention. Thought I'd ask you. I don't see a lot of marks on the map that are kind of behind the lines specifically. We saw more of that kind of a month or so ago.
Well, I need to change these icons because these are the wrong icons. But there were these strikes in I don't I I don't know how to pronounce this. Oriel, whatever. This city, there were two strikes today. One was on a they described it as a power plant. I don't think it actually was a power plant, but and then the other strike was on like an oil facility, like an oil depot. So that's one thing. That was like pretty deep into Russia. Other than that, there was the strike on the train um, over here uh, in what is this? We're on yeah, we're in Donetsk. That's where we are. Okay, so Russia was building a bridge here for their train. So they're building a railway that would basically go from Russia to Berdyansk and Mariupol, and part of that was crossing this river here, and they're constructing a bridge, and Ukraine blew up the bridge, basically. Um, Other than that, I mean, there have been. I mean, there was the missile strike the other day on. It was actually quite a while ago, but where was that? Oh yeah, it was in Snihirivka. There was this missile strike on the Ukrainian um, oil tankers. I can probably show this video. I think I've showed it before. Um, I'm not showing it. Okay, here we go. So they hit these. This was kind of a Ukrainian logistics thing. They hit with a missile. They the claim was that this was one of the Korean ballistic missiles, but that's not really important. What's important is more that they hit this logistics area. So I don't know. Does this satisfy you? There have been some logistics hits, um, and there may be more. Most of the hits that I see on logistics are not these like big hits. They're more like taking out trucks and loafs and things like that.
Fair. I just don't get to track them as closely as you do, so I thought I should ask about that because I know, I'm sure it was like a month ago, like in the beginning of December, there was a lot more stuff going on. We were seeing a lot more trains being hit, things like that. And it seems like that particular piece has calmed down a little bit in the last month. So I thought I'd ask.
Oh yeah, there was the hit on the railway in Russia the other day. I can't remember where that was. I think also can't remember what day it was. I think it was it yesterday? I think it or the day. Yeah, it was yesterday. There was
Yesterday.
yeah, um, the explosion in this little railway right here. It's pretty deep in Russia. I have no clue what the explosion was, to be honest. But it was an explosion on a railway, so that's gotta count, right?
Totally counts. Um, from the information that I had seen, it didn't look like there was a ton of damage there, and it looked like they were still able to move trains. They were delayed by an hour or so. So
Yeah.
whatever was hit, maybe wasn't as effective as somebody was hoping it to be, but
Well,
it's
we
still,
tried.
yeah, well, and it's still more than anything, it's a psychological impact of that happening, right?
Yeah. So we have the question about why did the losses of BTRs go down? I think it's because the brigade that was using those BTRs got their butts whipped and they ran away with their tail between their legs, and another brigade replaced them. I think that's why. Because the other brigade doesn't use those. Because okay, so from what I understand, at least on paper, your battalion can either have, I believe, 41 BTRs or 31 BMDs. Or BMPs, sorry. So it's either like 41, I think it's 41, or maybe 44. It doesn't really matter. It's 40-ish BTRs or 30-ish BMPs. And in Russia, those are considered like equal battalions. And from what I understand, they group together the BTR battalions into like a brigade. And the brigade using BTRs just got their butts kicked. I don't know how else to say it. They got their butts kicked. And yeah, and there were two brigades using BTRs. One brigade was in Krinky, and they got their butts kicked, and another brigade was in Avdiivka, and they got their butts kicked. So both of them have gone to the rear, where they've crawled into the fetal position and cried, and they've been replaced by other brigades.
That was very descriptive.
Yeah. They, especially the ones in Avdiivka, I have never seen so many BTRs destroyed in such a short period of time. Like they did attacks where they attacked with like 12 BTRs, and then like within like 30 seconds, like 8 of them would explode. It was just so bad. It was so bad. And then the Russians, they started like writing about it, because they like apparently that brigade that was using the BTRs, apparently they were supposed to be the breakthrough brigade. So like there was another brigade in heavier armor that was supposed to be the tip of the spear and push through. And once they broke through the line, the BTR brigade was supposed to exploit the breakthrough. So, but instead they were like, the tip of the spear doesn't want to be a spear no more, so you're the tip now. And they're like, wait a second. And they're like, go for it. They're like, but we don't even have like mine clearing equipment. They're like, go for it, buddy.
Oh dear.
The Russians are so upset. They're so upset. They're writing like just article after article about that. How it was like it was like the leadership is a travesty. They're like an embarrassment to our country or whatever. Man, the whole saga, it was just funny to me. So that's how they lost a lot of BTRs. And in Krinky, they also lost a whole bunch.
I don't know why this occurred to me, but as you were talking about that, I had this like vision of every time a BTR blew up on the battlefield, a little flork popping up in the bushes somewhere and pointing and laughing. And I really just enjoyed that and had to share that with you.
Yeah. But I have, I think I mapped a whole bunch of those BTR. And I think these are all the BTRs if I remember right. So let's click. Yeah. Oh, that's a BMP. That's a tank. There's a BTR. There's so
I
many
don't
of
think
them.
your map is moving.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I always forget. Sorry. Here's a
That's
BTR. There's a BTR. There's a tank. BTR. I think these are all BTRs. Yeah,
oh man.
just BTRs. So many BTRs. So this is this field north of Avdiivka. This was basically all this happened in like the first week and a half of October in like their initial push. So they kind of pushed in 2 phases. The first phase was to capture right here, which took them like a day or two. And then they kind of went YOLO across the field and lost all their BTRs. And then they ran out of BTRs and cried a lot. They especially cried on Telegram. They were like, we are professional soldiers. We didn't train for this. We trained for a different mission that you didn't give us. It's not fair. You make us sad. Can't believe you've done this to us. Look at, and this image, like, oh, I forgot these images don't load for, okay, I'll do this. This image here, you can see the mine. There's like a line of mines here that the tank just kind of YOLO'd through. And the Russian strategy here, I don't know why sometimes it takes so long to load, but the Russian strategy here was more or less literally just charge into the mines. And what Ukraine was doing in a lot of this footage, if you go back and just watch all this footage, the Russians would have one vehicle, or actually it was usually 2. They would have 2 vehicles with mine plows, and they would kind of drive out, kind of do a loop, and then drive home. They were the lucky ones. So, and then behind them would be like 12 vehicles And those vehicles would kind of follow up and then kind of go around the curve, like, and then kind of line up all in this little curve, and then dismount all the infantry. And as they were dismounting the infantry, Ukraine would hit the area with cluster munitions and just hit everything with cluster munitions. And a lot of these vehicles were lost to those cluster munitions. And a lot of the infantry were lost as well. But eventually, Russia charged enough vehicles into the minefield that there weren't any more mines, and then they captured this tree line very bravely.
So, maybe this is a good time to go back to how do most vehicles get destroyed, Andrew?
Well, a lot of vehicles are finished off by FPV drones, but they're not usually damaged, like initially damaged by an FPV drone. Usually they're initially damaged by something that we don't know what it is. So, a lot of the footage of destroyed vehicles that we see is a damaged and abandoned vehicle in the middle of a field, getting hit by FPV drones until it explodes. What I mean, sometimes it's obviously a mine that hit the vehicle because like the track blows off and then the track is like laying behind the vehicle. You're like, oh, it's a mine. Other times it's not obvious. Like sometimes a vehicle will fall into a hole. Um, but sometimes
Those
it's not
damn
obvious
holes,
why.
they sneak up on you.
What's that?
Those damn holes sneak up on you.
Yeah, they do. They do. Sometimes the holes are really big and you think you can drive through it, but you can't. Like if you're driving a tank and you know to your left and right are minefields and in front of you is like a 10-meter wide hole in the ground, would you rather drive through the hole or drive around the hole?
I think the first problem is anybody thinking that they should allow me to drive a tank. That probably is a poor choice on everybody's part, and we should reconsider what's actually happening here. But yeah, you're right. The hole is probably a better choice.
And thank you for the I don't know what's this called. Is this a super sticker? Anyway, thank you, Todd. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think it's a super sticker. I think that's the name of that. I'm not good at this social media stuff. And thank you to Bjorn for donating the 10 memberships. Now those 10 people can post little green eyeballs. I'm gonna post a little green eyeball. Boom. Okay.
I haven't seen a ship icon. Can you show me that?
Oh, you want to see a ship icon? Here I have
Yeah. I've never seen one.
Russian ship losses. I haven't gone back and added like the Moskva or whatever, but there are ship icons. See, little shippies.
Nice. That's very exciting.
Thank you for the consistent updates. You're one of the few honest reporters. I thank you. I try to be honest. Sometimes being honest is depressing, but I try.
I will definitely say that of all the people that I listen to on Ukraine stuff, you are most consistently honest about both sides of the story. Much more so than a lot of other people who cover it.
I try. So yeah, I'm not sure what else to talk about.
I don't have anything today. There isn't really anything that's like
Oh,
100% confirmed and going on in the Black Sea.
there was the video I said I wanted to show because it's funny, and I do want to show it because it is funny. This is air-to-air combat between two drones. Okay, so here it goes. There it is. Did you miss it?
It was like the shortest air-to-air combat ever.
Yeah, because the Ukrainian drone. So this is a Ukrainian drone, and this is, I'll show where this is on the map in a second. So this is looking at a Russian-ish position, Russian-ish, and it's just sitting there minding its own business, scouting, doing its thing. And then all of a sudden, a Russian drone attacks it, and the Russian drone disintegrates. It just vaporized itself. It did no damage at all. The Ukrainian drone is like, huh, what? Oh man, it's just really funny to me.
That's excellent. I enjoyed that. Great job.
Yeah. We'll watch it again. Because if you blink, you'll miss it. You just see a disintegrated drone fly past. Anyways, that's him. He's doing great.
To Michael Michaels, who wants to go to exit tank school, I want you to know that if I ever run a tank school, the world is in an enormous amount of danger, and we should be worried about things.
Look at him. He's almost damaged. They have to put like a little piece of duct tape on them now. I do really enjoy that the drones have like two little eyeballs. Look at it.
They're kind of like
They're little eyeballs.
They're an insect version of a loaf.
Yeah. There have been some really sad looking loaves lately. I don't know if you saw the loaf I posted today.
I did. I really did. It was great. It's such a sad loaf.
Yeah. The doors, though. What are these doors made of? Why don't they make like? Okay, so like if you play War Thunder, you know what I'm talking about. You know how the Soviet doors are invincible, and this is just proof. Why don't they just make everything out of doors? You know?
One does wonder.
Why in War Thunder, like a T-34, all of its armor is like easily penetrated, except the driver's hatch, which is like impenetrable. Why don't they just make the entire tank out of driver's hatches? I don't get it. And this is the same with the loaf now. Now it's just more evidence that the one thing Soviets are good at is making a solid door. They nailed it. So, oh boy, I don't know what's going on anymore. So confused. I'm looking for the stream and I've lost it. Oh, I found it. Okay, we're back.
That'll happen when you have 17 monitors.
What's the timeline on F-16s? Well, I would assume longer rather than sooner. The United States has said that their pilots that they're training might be done maybe by the end of this year. So I believe the ones that like the Dutch or whatever, their pilots, they say are going to be much sooner, but I don't know when. I've heard things like April, May, March. I don't know. So there are a number of countries training pilots, and they're all kind of training them in different ways, and each like group of pilots is like a different group of pilots. So like one group of pilots were already experienced pilots who are basically being what's the word, like cross-trained onto an F-16. So they already like know how to pilot. they just don't know how to fly an F-16. So they're being taught how to fly specifically an F-16. So that's one group. Another group, I'm not sure they actually were pilots, or if they were like really, really like low level pilots, like not combat pilots. And I think that's like who the Americans are training. They're like basically training a new generation of pilots, from what I understand. So that's why it's going to take so much longer. And then there's kind of like another group that's like somewhere in between, where they're like they know how to fly, but they're not experienced, so they're going to take like longer to train. Or so there's multiple groups of pilots. They're going to come in waves. So there's going to be one wave of pilots pretty soon, and then another wave, and then another wave. And yeah, I'm not sure what the timeline is exactly. I'm also not sure what what F-16s are coming, because there's been rumors of the F-16s being upgraded to more modern radars, etc., which would be it would be a real game changer if they're upgraded, because their radars, they really need upgraded radars to fight the Russian Air Force. Because if they send them as is without the upgrades, they basically can only fight defensively. They can't fight offensively. So they would basically just be air defense. Whereas if they get the upgraded radars, they could fight offensively.
You touched there on it, but I think people probably don't understand that Ukraine is going to need a new crop of pilots, and probably multiple new crops of pilots. And that's part of why the UK started a training program to kind of start people out before they even get to the fighter jets. They started that, I think it was nearly 6 months ago now. But that's going to be a long-term project. Whether or not they get F-16s or any other plane, they are going to need more pilots, because there's only so many they started with, and there aren't a lot left.
Yeah. Yeah, and training to physically fly the plane is not a big deal. Like, that's not what I meant. Is that you have to learn all the computer systems and stuff. And also you have to keep in mind that they're coming from a Soviet plane, and Soviet instruments are, I don't want to get into detail on this because it's just getting into the weeds, but there are a bunch of Soviet instruments that are like the opposite of Western instruments in the way that they display data. So that's an issue. Like the attitude of the plane, the way the Soviets display the attitude is like the opposite of the way we do. So it can lead, and has led to crashes in the past. Especially if you're operating at low altitude, which is what these pilots are going to be doing. The one good thing about the F-16 is it has automated, what's it called? The automated terrain clear. I can't remember the word. I'm too tired. The thing where it doesn't crash into the ground. Yeah. It's like, hey, moron, you're about to hit the ground. I'm gonna not do that. So the plane does that thing. I just can't remember the word. It's like whatever. What's the status of the GLSDBs? They're gonna be a while, because I believe they have to test the engines to make sure that they don't explode, because the rockets have a what's it called, a hot launch, where the engine turns on in the tube. So if the missile fails, the crew explodes and dies, which is not ideal. GCAS, that's what it's called. Auto GCAS. Anyways, are there any more questions?
I didn't see any others.
It would be cool if Western F-16 pilots volunteered, but I don't think that's going to happen. But it would be cool if they did. Regarding the amount of money Ukraine needs like several different sorts of money. The most basic need that Ukraine needs right now is ammo. Ammo is like somewhat expensive, but it's also pretty cheap. Like it's like like I can't afford ammo, but the government can, if you know what I mean. Like just doing like back of the envelope, back of the envelope math. Ukraine probably needs between $5 and $10 billion worth of ammo. And I'm just talking about normal ammo. I'm not even talking about like air-to-air missiles. That's like completely different. That's a different problem entirely. So maybe double it. I don't know. I don't know how much missiles. I don't know how many missiles they need. But anyways, so that's one type of money. They need ammo. Is one type of money. Another type of money is like vehicles. They need vehicles of all sorts of types. Vehicles really are not that expensive. Oh, like the planes are, but like some of these vehicles cost like $100,000 or something. They're not that expensive. Like I guess they add up, but they're not that expensive. Another type of money that Ukraine needs is funding for its budget, because Ukraine does not have enough money to like have a functional government. So they need that so their like government doesn't collapse, which would be bad.
I tweeted about this week because I feel really passionate about this particular thing. There is not enough people telling the story of what's happening economically to save Ukraine right now. And like there's some really impressive work being done to save their economy and just keep things rolling. And man alive, does it ever drive me crazy that people aren't paying attention to that. I know that things that blow up are really cool. And I also agree. Things that blow up are really cool sometimes. But the amount of time and effort and the funding models that people are using and the innovative ways that people are working around a lot of things is really freaking impressive. And I wish more people would pay attention to it.
Yeah, it's very important. It's yeah.
Like it's fundamentally, that's basically how you win a war, is that you stop another country's economy from functioning and they just have to capitulate because they cannot function anymore.
So
that's basically how that.
I have a related question for you. Actually, it's a question from the audience, but we didn't do it before. What about the road in Romania? That's the question.
I mean, Romania generally they are the perfect example of an EU country who is working very hard with Ukraine to come up with functional plans that help both of their economies. And then they're going out and they're saying, okay, EU or US or whoever, we don't have the funding for this, but we have this great plan. It will work. It's very easy to do. The timeline is short. How can we fund it? And other people are stepping up with the funds to actually get that done. So the road in particular, the increases in port, there's just a whole bunch of changes to the ports at Constanta and some other stuff that's happening in the Danube River. They are working really hard to support Ukraine, and their economy is going to benefit long term because of this. And again, what's happening in Poland is getting more, literally at this point, months to get your product out. Or you can just go to Romania, which is probably a shorter travel time anyways. They are increasing all of their logistics capabilities, and you'll be able to ship out whatever it's not just our agricultural products, like it's everything. And you're going to be able to use the Romanian ports to do that. Plus, you're actively working to get Odessa and some of the other Ukrainian ports up and going. Like, Poland is going to lose out economically long term because they aren't cracking down on what's going on at the border.
I mean, they're cracking down a little bit more than they were, right?
I mean, they have, I would not call it cracking down. I would not characterize it that way at all. They are negotiating, and they have signed an agreement with the farmers for it. Basically, 3 of their demands they've agreed to. One of the other ones is just basically being ignored, and the farmers have said that they're going to pull out. And then they were there up until, I think yesterday, they were still blocking at least one border crossing. So let me put it, I'm not blind to the fact that Poland has a brand new government that's trying really hard to work with its citizens, and there's a not small portion of them that aren't really happy that this government won. That's why we saw such a long period of time in between when the government was elected and when an actual government was formed. There's a whole bunch of internal politics going on in Poland. So they're trying not to piss off all of these voters that they have and the general public in Poland, but they're also trying to work within the constraints of the EU and wanting to support Ukraine and all of these other things. It's a tricky situation if you're the new Polish government. I absolutely don't really fault them. I think they're probably doing some of the best work they can do right now. But that doesn't change the fact that what is happening at the border there, because the previous government didn't crack down on anything and didn't take action to begin with, is going to have a long-term effect on Poland.
Yep. Anyway, we're doubling down on the question. Do you know about the road being built in Romania? Because I don't know about the road.
So there's a post I put up today about it, and I can go find it. And if you go to my Twitter tonight, I'll try and find it and put it back up. I don't remember all the specifics off the top of my head, but like, it's road. It goes from Ukraine into, I think it goes to Constanta, if I remember correctly. But it's really, all it's doing is giving one more logistical path for Ukrainian goods to go into Romania.
Okay.
Which is great. But I mean, it's fundamentally just another road. So it's cool, but I don't know that it's super notable and something that we all need to, I don't know. It's not as exciting as getting Odessa ports exporting more grain, which maybe we missed out on this reporting this, but the Ukrainian corridor has passed the Black Sea Grain Initiative. Essentially, right now, they are shipping out more grain per month than the Black Sea Grain Initiative was, even at the peak. They are servicing more average ships per day than the Black Sea Grain Initiative was, even at the peak. It is drastically more effective. It's not just grain that leaves Ukraine through the Odessa ports, and they have been explicit about talking about that. They are able to control exports out of Ukraine, including steel and other things that are even more beneficial for their economy than just the grain. So the Romanian road is awesome. I will find the post. It's not as exciting as what's happening in Odessa right now.
Okay. Well, we just had someone asking about it repeatedly.
Yeah,
so
totally. That's why I will go find the post. I will go do that right now.
Okay. So what I'm doing right now is, oh God, what have I done? Oh, wow. So I keep track of how many vehicles are destroyed, and I didn't realize we got to another 1,000 because every 1,000 I have to add another 1,000 to the old spreadsheet, and I didn't realize we got to 1,000 so quickly because I added 1,000 just like a few days ago. Oh man. Anyways, what I'm doing now is awkwardly waiting to post the vehicle losses for today because I'm like 99% done, and I guess we could talk about it live maybe, because I've never done that before, and it is all of the work is done. I just haven't sorted them in the way I sort them. So they're not. I order them by how valuable the vehicle is, whose vehicle it was. So all the sorting that you typically see is what I haven't done yet, and that's what I'm doing right now as I speak. Um, and then it just takes a second because I just have to like drag them into the right order with my little mouse buttons, and I'm almost done already. Okay, so
I put a link to an article about the road, and I was wrong. Sorry, it doesn't go to Constanta. I don't know what I was thinking. It goes to Bucharest, and it just connects with the EU transport corridor, essentially. But I put an article in the comments for the stream, and I retweeted it as well. So you can find out more about it there.
sweet. I had to redo my sorting because I did it wrong.
Oh boy.
Anyways, I don't know if this is worth waiting for, but I've never talked about it live before, so I just figured maybe people will be interested in just getting some notes on these vehicles. I think these are ordered right now. So I will go to the other thingy, the share version, and I'll just open it, and then we could look at it together for a second. So here it is. Here's it. Here's the thing, and so just as a brief summary. So uh, all of these were like in the not one video, but it was actually in two separate videos. But there's these videos here were basically a compilation of multiple hits on electronic equipment and comm equipment and EW equipment. So those aren't super interesting, but they always mark them. This Brem L was a pretty significant loss. So this vehicle was found abandoned in a road, and Ukraine hit it with I think 3 FPV drones, but I don't think they destroyed it. These two toss were pretty cool. I think both videos were viral today, so I'm sure most people have seen these toss explode. If you haven't, you can come and click on these two links and you can watch them explode. Then we have this this 2S3. I honestly, oh yeah, I remember. This also pretty catastrophically exploded from an FPV drone, so you could watch that explode if you'd like. Um, so this was just like sitting next to a tree line and was hit by a drone and exploded. Um, this the Mista. This video and the D30, these are the same video. These were filmed from exceptionally far away, and you can't really tell what's going on. So the Mista and the D30, very difficult to analyze. It does look like both were damaged, but it's hard to be sure. Um, this T90M, um, this happened a while ago, but I never mapped it, and I never logged it. So to me, this is new, but it happened a while ago. This happened in that big field that we were talking about. It's the same field that all those BTRs were destroyed in. Same field, except this was a T90M. Here's a T62M. Um, this was a weird one. I'm not entirely sure it's a T62M, but I can't tell what else it would be. I was kind of looking at it. I was like, "Is this a T55?" Like, I don't know. It's really hard to tell what it is because you can only see like the left of the tank. You can't see the front or the back or the top. Well, you do see the top. You see, it's like if you imagine looking straight down at a tank and then like holding up a sheet of paper so you can only see the very leftist most of it. That's in fact I could show you the photo of this. It is kind of funny. Just give me a second here. I'll show you the photo. You'll see what I mean. That you only see the leftist of it. Um, Here we go. This is what I mean. You can only see the left. You can't really tell what it is. It kind of looks like a T62. The reason I think it's a T62 is because these two hatches are in the locations they are in a T62. This kind of looks like the added armor of a T62, but other than that, um, I don't know what else it would be if it's not a T62. Anyways, this is a random tank that exploded. Don't know what else to say. It just kind of exploded. I have no clue what kind of tank it was. Um, Two BMP3s abandoned. Um, Both of them were later damaged. So this is I want it to be known that these were abandoned. No, oh, this one, no, the FPV one was hit. It was hit by an FPV drone and then abandoned, and then this one was abandoned and hit by a drone drop bomb. So I want it to be known when the vehicle is initially damaged by an FPV drone versus damaged um, after being abandoned. So I've been more explicitly marking it. So, like for example, this MTLB was hit after being abandoned. This BMP3 was hit after being abandoned, and this one was abandoned as a result of getting hit. So that's what this kind of language here in the text means. I'm trying to be as clear as possible in these sorts of things, but what often happens, and is also very frustrating to me, is that people just kind of take the information and add their own story. Like they just invent a backstory to what happens. It's like I give you the video. You know, you could click the video and watch it. I've tried to be explicit in the text, but anyways, these loafs are one of these loafs is the one that exploded before with the indestructible doors, and the other one was his friend, and yeah, so that's kind of that. This PRP-4 is an artillery reconnaissance vehicle. It's like built on like a BMP chassis or a BMP-2 chassis. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell the difference between a BMP and a BMP-2, especially when it explodes. So, anyways, this was an artillery reconnaissance vehicle that destroyed. It's listed under other because I don't have artillery reconnaissance vehicle as a vehicle type because they're not very common. And then we had a bunch of artillery damage today for Ukraine. There were 3 M109s. It is possible that 2 of these M109s are the same M109. There was a video there's a video. Okay, so there's two videos that both showed this M777, and no, they both showed an M109 getting hit, and one of them had a different beginning, and the other one had a different end, and it kind of makes me feel that this video had three parts to it, and in one part they had like part one and two, and then the other video was part two and three. But anyways, I can't really tell if one of these M109s is the same M109, so it's possible there's only two. But anyways, long story short, one M109 exploded. One was damaged pretty badly. One appeared to not be damaged that badly, although these two might be the same vehicle. It's just hard to tell. It's really hard. If you watch the videos, you'll see what I mean. And then the M777 was damaged. This might be an old video, but I had never seen it before, so I marked it. Yeah, and there's these are all kind of self-explanatory. This decoy, and one of these M109s may be the same vehicle as well. It's confusing. If you watch the videos, you know what I mean. Anyways, so that's kind of all the stuff. A little brief description. I don't know if it's worth describing it this way, but I did. I may never do it again. So I'm gonna tweet this out after the stream's over. And yeah, the lancets are annoying.
For me personally, that was really cool to actually see you go through it, because like it's interesting when you put it up as like a big picture of stuff, because then you can be like, oh, that picture's bigger than yesterday, and that gives you some kind of quantitative value there. Which, like, some days that's all I have time to actually look at and kind of recognize out of it. But getting to go through each piece of it, that's super interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and there's one part I forgot. These night vision FPV drones. First off, this MTLB, I'm pretty sure that's an MTLB. This KAMAZ, I'm pretty sure is a KAMAZ. This pickup truck, not 100% sure it's a pickup truck. One of these question marks, I think, is a British vehicle, but I couldn't tell which British vehicle it was. I was looking at it, I was like, is this a Spartan? But I don't think it's a Spartan. Isn't there a British vehicle that's bigger than a Spartan? I feel like it's the one bigger than a Spartan. I feel like, but I can't remember what it's called. And I was staring at it, and then Gick was making fun of me, and I was like, I don't feel like looking at it anymore because Gick's making fun of me. So I put question mark. Anyways, so that's one of them. And this other question mark, I can't remember what that vehicle was at all. Oh, this other one, it kind of looked like a tank, but not really. Like I was like, is this a CV-90? Not sure. Anyways, so these two question marks are actually completely fascinating. Like they're very fascinating vehicles. I think one of them is a British. I think it's a British one of them. And the other one, I'm not really sure. It might be like a CV-90 or something. And yeah, these night vision FPV drones are very upsetting, and I don't like them. And I wish they didn't exist. I very much don't like them. Anyways, that's all I got for today. I'm gonna stop the stream now. I'm gonna post. I will post the screenshot as I usually do, and then I always post the link as well. And if you click the link, then you can see these links. Because I don't post like what's the point of posting a screenshot of a hyperlink? Like it's weird. Like I'm not gonna do that. So if you want the hyperlinks, you can just click the link to the spreadsheet, and you can see the hyperlinks. All right, so see you later, everybody. Thank you for coming. Exit.